my name is Nico and I've been in project management for over 30 years. In this video I explain what project management is. The term project management these days is generally known as something that involves information technology. That is not what this video is about. Then what is this video about? Well, let me give you an example. A shoe factory makes shoes and that, strictly speaking, cannot be considered a project. They are in the shoemaking business and that's it. But suppose this factory wants to organize a party for the workers. Well, that can be considered a project, which needs to be managed, and for that, project management methods can be used. Organizing a party is what most of us have done at some stage in our lives, and if you have done that, you will get the idea on what it is. It will become very clear to you very soon anyway. What is the definition of project management? Well, according to Wikipedia, project management is the application of processes, methods, skills, knowledge and experience to achieve specific project objectives according to the project acceptance criteria within agreed parameters. Project management has final deliverables that are constrained to a finite timescale and budget. Well, that was a mouthful, but it means that if you have an activity which needs to be completed on time and within a certain budget. Remember the first time you went on a holiday without your parents? I'll use a fictional example in order to better illustrate how to manage a project. An epidemic has been identified by local doctors, and since they don't have the capacity to deal with it themselves, they asked for help from an external medical organization. At this stage, you as a project member are not involved. A lot of communication has been going on between the two medical organizations, mainly to exchange information on the health situation, their respective capacities and the signing of agreements. You are now contacted by this external medical organization and asked to set up the project. Now you start to work. So how do you begin? Well, a needs assessment has most likely been made. Read it thoroughly, see if there are inconsistencies or omissions, ask who has made this assessment and discuss these inconsistencies or omissions. This is important. If there are other needs not identified in their assessment, it will create problems further down the road. Since it has been written by medics, it will be full of medical jargon and nothing or very little about cost, transport, storage, facility management, logistics, etc. Depending on the scope of the intervention, you may have to hire external experts at some stage. But since it's not a large corporation, you can do it all by yourself. So calculate the cost of the different activities, storage, transport and time frames in relation to implementation. This is important because if, for example, you get the vaccines and they need to be refrigerated, then you have to have these fridges in place and working before the arrival of the vaccines. Sometimes they call that a cold chain. You do the same for assets. For example, if cars are needed, then these cars have to be ready when the work begins. How much staff do you need? At what cost and period? It is like a time-dependent jigsaw puzzle. Find out if there are any permits needed. Can you import vaccine and how work permits and visas? In some places this could be your biggest headache. Check the availability of warehouses, cars and anything else needed for the job. And yes, you'll have to be on site. You can't do it remotely. You need to check and discuss with suppliers and so forth. Once you have done that, have a meeting with all the stakeholders. Discuss your findings, and after some adjustments and everyone has agreed, it is time to write down who is responsible for what. Put it all into documents and let people sign for it. It is no fun if after some stage someone will use the famous deniability card if something goes wrong. Now it's time to get started. Hire the right people for the job, like drivers, warehouse managers, bookkeepers, etc. etc. You don't have to be very concerned as to medical staff requirements. Doctors are more than capable of doing that themselves. You will have to know though, doctors need transportation, their equipment, vaccines in place to sleep, eat and so on. You know how long each activity will last. And you know the cost of these activities, not only the overall cost, but the cost over each time period. With that information, you can compare this to the actual work progress and make adjustments whenever needed. You hope you don't have too many mistakes because it will reflect badly on you. In practice, adjustments are always necessary. But now at least you have the tools to organize it. Organize regular meetings to discuss the progress and to exchange information. Record everything and at all times. Take the minutes of these meetings and let people sign on or off on it. There are all sorts of methods and software you can use, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Once the project is over, it is time to get everyone together, and not just for the last drink, but to finalize the project. A completion report, a handover document and disposal of assets are just a fraction of what still needs to be done. These documents may not be needed, but people are people, and when it comes to the final payment or any other issues, well, you don't want endless discussions afterwards. There are about 10 different project management methodologies, but they all boil down to the same thing, that is on how to manage a project. Well, this has been a short video about project management. I could have made it much longer, but since there is so much more to it, each project is different, but now at least you know what project management is all about. Take care of yourself and each other. Goodbye.